Vinny Tortorich here. Hey man, if you're a fan of Izzy, you might be a fan of me too. I'm the guy that gets people to lose a lot of weight. I have something free for you guys. This is no clickbait. Just go to VinnyTortorich.com and there's a big banner. It's a free PDF, how to lose weight. It's an intro guide to NSNG at VinnyTortorich.com. Go check it out exclusively for anyone who listens to Izzy Presley. Thank you.
Rockwood Saloon Authentic Apparel takes rock and roll fashion to a new level with their tees and tanks for men and women. They also make custom shirts, jackets, vests, pants, hoodies, beanies, and more. The Rockwood Graphics Department can design anything from your logo, t-shirt design, promo posters, band swag, and printed at great prices. From tour shirts and custom stage gear to killer threads for the street to the stage, Rockwood Saloon has it all. Rockwood Saloon, authentic rock and roll apparel for stage and street. World tour tested for quality, comfort, style, and durability. Check them out at www.rockwoodsaloon.com. That's rockwoodsaloon.com. Replay Guitar Exchange is your premier independent guitar store. Being independent is good. With all of the major brands, including new, vintage, and pre-owned, you can find the guitar, bass, amp, or accessory you are dreaming of. From vintage to the newest models, Replay Guitar Exchange can help you find that perfect piece. They have industry veteran expert staff, all players like you down to the owner. You aren't just getting a great guitar, you're getting the Replay difference. Find them online at replayguitar.com and find your dream guitar today.
Hi, this is Bobby Brown, and welcome to another fucking podcast.
You kids with your loud music and your Dan Fogelberg, your Zima, hula hoops, and Pac-Man video games, don't you see? People today have attention spans that can only be measured in nanoseconds.
See, son, old legends never die. They just lose weight.
Like a legend and an out-of-work bum with a lot of life.
Yes, it is party time. Hello, Hollywood. Hello, world. And hello, my loyal minions. It is good to see you, and as always, good to be seen. Izzy Presley here for another rousing edition, a Wednesday night edition of another effing podcast. You know, lately, I just say screw it. I do the show whenever it's available to do, but it's still once a week, and you can still download the show afterwards on Spreaker and on iTunes. Make sure you hit that follow button and that subscribe button. Make sure you do hit up all of the social media on my quest for 1 million followers at Real Izzy Presley on the Twitter machine and on Instagram. And on Instagram, you can kind of see what I'm eating and the level of my Astroglide bottle. I'm a lonely, lonely man. Also, the Facebook page is facebook.com/another effing podcast, and also my entertainment page is Izzy Presley 1. Find out everything I am doing entertainment wise, like for instance Soundcheck Live once a month, the last Wednesday of every month at Lucky Strike in Hollywood. We had a killer show last time. Nuno Betancourt, Richie Kotzen, Gary Sharon, K-Fig, and Nancy fucking Wilson was in the house. She got up and played a couple songs, which was so badass. So you can find out what I am doing there, if I'm doing stand-up, anything. And there'll be some information on me getting back on the airwaves as well. Satellite radio. And no, it's not XM or Hair Nation or anything like that. It's something new and something glorious. Just hold off. It's going to be great. Make sure you do, if you want merch, it's easy. Go to the Facebook page, hit that shop button, and you can buy shit. Like, for instance, podcast shirts, Act a Tribute to Ace Frehley shirts, and my brand new I Love Van Hagar shirts. Support the almighty Van Hagar and make people that don't like it deal with it. I love it. They're only $15. Just click that button. Buy stuff. But if you don't want to buy stuff, that's okay. You can still send me money because, look, I don't have those big, fat Podcast One checks. I don't get Westwood One checks. I rely on you guys sharing the show, telling your friends, buying merch, all that stuff. Or you can just donate. Izzy Presley at yahoo.com is your PayPal. So feel free. Send me money. And anybody that does buy anything or send me money, I will send you my voice giving you Waze directions. And let me tell you, it is hilarious. Everybody that has it just loves it. Turn here. It's good shit. Now, finally, in studio for the very first time in studio. He's been on the show a couple times. The first time was for the Randy Rhoads Remembered CD, or the Randy Rhoads Tribute CD, and then his solo record, which is called 13. Ladies and gentlemen, from Whitesnake and Cher, please welcome Joel Hoekstra.
Hey, what's happening, dude?
How you doing, man?
Good, man. Great to see you. Great to hang out with you a bit and get to say hello. We're here in L.A. for rehearsals for the upcoming Whitesnake Tour, so hope to see everybody out. Jason Bonham, Whitesnake Foreigner. How does that sound for a Summer Shed tour?
Oh, my God, that's right. I forgot Jason was on there.
Yeah, man. So you got to throw the Zeppelin catalog in there too, right? Yeah, you come out, you're bound to know basically every song, which is that's a rarity when you're going to see a 3-band event. So you'll hear the Zeppelin catalog, the Whitesnake hits, and the Foreigner hits. It should be a really fun tour. Looking forward to it.
Have you seen Bonham do his Zeppelin thing?
I have not, but our bass player Michael Devin has actually done the gig. So
really?
That's going to be really like an interesting flashback for him, right? He's going to be like, probably practicing it while he's hearing it backstage.
Dude, that's badass. That's badass. Yeah, man, you're gonna love it. I mean, hearing the blood of Jason or John Bonham play those songs.
Yeah,
it's just
man. Well,
on.
Jason's a very talented drummer. I know the last recording that the Zeppelin did with him in Europe, I thought was phenomenal, man. When they I think it was a live thing actually, but all kinds of bootlegs got out there and whatnot. But it was awesome. Yeah,
he's fucking money. Oh my God, we got people piling in the room already. Casey. Oh, he's up in Colorado right now, so you're high. Scotty Strickland checking in from Canada, way up north. Yes, we are watching the finals, right? The final. We got to say it correctly right now. Did they just score and go up?
I don't know, man. Yes, well, I would look like it, right? Did it?
No, these are just replays.
That's just it. Oh, okay.
Okay, these are just, I think the second period is over. Come on, go Caps. So yes, let's see. Hey, Casey, brother. Oh, hello from Northern Canada, watching Stanley Cup at the same time. Perfect start to a show at period intermission. There we go. We are at intermission right now. Bruce is checking in. Scotty, yes. Gail and Diane Robinson. Hey, hi, Izzy. Hi, Joel. Denver, Mile High Rock. There we go. All right, cool. Great show, guys. Thanks for checking in.
Yeah.
So we were kind of talking off the air, and I guess we never really sat down and talked about childhood shit. I mean, I didn't know that you were basically you were a Chicago kid.
Yeah, I grew up in the burbs of Chicago, man. So the L.A. thing happened for me, I guess, aged 19 through 21. I went to GIT for a year, as everybody did, to try and become a guitar hero or whatever back in the day. And then Nirvana happened right about at that time, and that slightly altered the plans in a good way. Everything worked out great. Then I spent another year out here working at Cherokee Recording Studios, which was a great education as well. And then back to Chicago for a decent amount of time, where I taught about 7 billion guitar lessons and gigged. And then New York happened 2001. So I moved there, just in time for 9/11, which, was interesting. But yeah, now it's been I never ever in my life thought I'd be a New Yorker, but I've been there, almost 18 years now. It's crazy.
What drew you there?
A gig.
Oh, okay.
So this girl that I gigged with in Chicago, Kathy Richardson, was a phenomenal singer. She'd gotten a gig playing Janis Joplin in this show called Love Janis, and that ran in Chicago for 2 months, a very short run. And then it was going to go up in New York, and I sort of had lobbied my way into getting that gig and came out to New York to do that, assuming it would probably run 2 months. So I threw my stuff in storage or whatever and went, I'll be back in a couple months. Told my students, take a little break or take lessons from this other guy for 2 months. And it ended up running for 2 years. So by the time it closed, I was like, well, I guess I live in New York now. I never thought I'd end up on the East Coast and live there. But it's been good to me. I have to say things have gone well for me since I've been there. So something agrees with it. I mean, it must be the karma because I'm tortured with the real estate scenario there and the cost of living. But it's it's worked out great, man.
Right. Well, I mean, there's a lot of people paying $2,000 to live the place the size of a closet. You know?
No,
But it's kind of the same out here, except they pay $2,000 to live out of the closet. Boom.
Man.
Yeah.
I'd say don't quit your day job, but I'm not sure you have one.
No, I do not.
Yeah.
I do not. You saw my day job as I was driving you over here. What the hell was it? Oh, yeah. So growing up in Chicago, you said at a certain point, you found AC/DC. But like before that, what were you listening to? Because I know Chicago was known for like Cheap Trick and the blues and...
Not much, because AC/DC came around for me at 11. And
okay.
Anything before that was baseball. I was just like, I'm going to be a baseball player, when I was, 7 through probably 10 years old. All I did was pitch all day, every day. And, then it was actually the first song I heard that was rock that I went, wait a minute, that's really cool, was Billy Squier, The Stroke, oddly enough. Little peek into my sexual history as well.
Yeah.
No, but I had to basically acknowledge that, wow, that's really cool. I liked what I was hearing. And then I heard Back in Black, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. And that right around the time when MTV was brand new. Remember that? And there was 5 or 6 videos that just rotated all day.
Yep.
So, if you kept MTV on, you'd see Angus Young 7 or 8 times. And I even forget what the first video was, but it was sort of them playing it on a soundstage too. They didn't use the audio from the records, if you remember. AC/DC
Really?
was doing like these, it was clearly mixed, but they were doing like a live video of them playing it back then.
And that was the Brian Johnson stuff?
Yeah, it was Brian
Really?
Johnson was in the band. And it didn't matter because the only person that really mattered to me, honestly, at that time was Angus. Because I was like, that dude is the coolest dude I've ever seen in my life. I want to be that guy. And that was a big influence on me, just from both kind of simultaneously how awesome the music was, but also just how cool his stage presence and how rockin' he was. I was like blown away. So I went to my parents, who are classical musicians, and said, like, I want a guitar. And I'm quite certain they had visions of Segovia in their heads. Like, oh, that's fantastic. So you'll be starting out with the Fernando Sor etudes or whatever. And I, next thing they knew, I was playing Highway to Hell.
Right.
Plugged directly into our home stereo. But yeah, there you go, man.
What was the first guitar?
It was a hideous red Electro Westone that I think in my mind at the local mall, when I saw it, I was like, that was the closest thing to an SG. It had like the curves, and it was red-ish, even though Angus is more known for the wine-colored SG or maroon or whatever the technical name is for the finish of that guitar. But that, I think in my mind, I was like, there you go. There's now I'm going to be all set. I'm going to be that dude. And little did I know I was about 2 feet taller than him already at that time.
Right, yeah, he's a little dude.
Yeah.
A little Aussie guy. So, you're a fucking shredder, man. You can just fucking let loose. At what point did you hear Van Halen?
I heard Van Halen shortly thereafter, and at first I didn't like it. I heard... I think the first album I heard, remember the Columbia Cassette Tape Club?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So that was where I started to hear a bunch of other bands, because I went like, okay, well, wait a minute. And I think the first one I got was Diver Down. And
not a good Van Halen record to start on.
Well, I personally, nowadays, I love that record. I put it on, I think it's awesome. But back then, I wanted like metal, and I wanted like tough, and I liked... like AC/DC, Black Sabbath, Ozzy, Maiden were kind of like, and that was about it. And everything else sounded a little wimpy to me as an 11-year-old. And then as I got older, I realized, it's I loosened, I broadened my horizons, and but got more into Van Halen and bands that were just. I guess even, Rush at first. I didn't like Rush when I first heard it. I went, well, no. But then I had the Red Barchetta riff is what first got me, and the heavy Red Barchetta riff. Down, down, ba-dum, down, ba-dum, ba-ba-dum, right? I went, well, wait a minute. No, that's cool. That's kind of like AC/DC right there. So eventually, yes, I broadened my horizons like the 10 million bands, and now I like virtually everything that requires any kind of talent to do. I draw the line with some hip hop, drives me a little crazy, but I don't totally shut it off either. Some of it's cool, and I like about everything now, man.
I just can't stand that. I don't even know what it's called, but it's obviously one of these fake drum sounds. But it sounds like a fucking sprinkler. That
I have no idea what you're talking about, but I'm
if you
enjoying
heard
it. I'm enjoying you making the noise. Yeah, I mean, there was I heard a commercial last night or whatever during the NBA finals, and it was like a loop on, like a drum loop on, and some dude just kind of randomly talking. It was just so half-assed, and I went, how is that getting placement on television? Like that just, how about something, right?
Right.
Now the Humpty Dance I enjoy. There was like a comedic element there.
It was fun. It was
that I liked.
Yeah, the older rap. I mean, because you're what? 45, 46?
29.
29.
Yeah, you're a little bit off, but
right,
I understand. Yeah. I look older because, it's what rock and roll has done to me. It was all that hard partying with Brad Gillis in the Night Ranger days.
Yeah, that will do it. I mean, because I'm 45, and it's like I remember when kind of rap came out, and it was fun, and it was different. But
I enjoyed a lot of it, man. I was in a band at the time that we were playing bars, and we did our own songs in the bars too, but we would do kind of stuff that would make people go, what? Like, what are they doing? And I used to throw on like a hat and actually do the Humpty Dance. I'd do the rap.
Nice.
And I used to have, we did a Coolio tune too, and I used to have a pantyhose that I would slip over my head with pipe cleaners coming out of the top. And I used to do the rap. So yes, when people want to talk about my ugly past, that's there.
Oh, please tell me there's video of this.
I doubt it exists, man. I mean, this is before the day of the smartphone, obviously.
This is true.
And which is why you could get away with that shit.
This is true. Well, I mean, for me, it's gotten so bad, it really makes you miss the Mambo number 5.
Well, I was probably 22 or 23 at the time, and I was just having fun, man.
Yeah,
I was partying in the bars
with
my friends. So,
yeah.
Listen, it was a drag to play a set of Let Me Prove How Good I Am on guitar for people. People didn't want that in a bar, and I still think it was the smartest thing to be doing. I mean, if you're playing in a bar, you got to play stuff that's entertaining for people who are drunk and want to party.
Exactly, and that's hard to do. Like, for me, that's hard to do because I'm such a fucking snob with what I like and
You're
what
a
I
snob?
want.
Come on,
not at all. Just musically.
Oh, I guess that wine and cheese tray over there should have given that away. Right?
Well, I mean, you are in Whitesnake. It's a sophisticated band.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah. I mean, look, growing up, I've been through a million things that I think people would be like, "What?" Because, like I said, in a way, it was a real blessing that Nirvana hit when I was 19 or 20 years old, because that crushed any kind of "you're going to become a guitar hero" thing, and made it a lot more like, all right, you got to do whatever it takes to make a living in music and get good at like many, many different things, not just playing fast on guitar.
Right.
So that was actually, in retrospect, a great thing, because now I feel like I've, maybe too well-rounded, a little too much fucking perspective. But no, I feel like I've become more well-rounded due to all the adversity you kind of have to go through to do that. I mean, in the 90s, that suddenly became don't play any guitar solos, otherwise you will never have a gig or ever do anything. And so it became interesting, like, how do you become the guy that is the guy that gets the gig and is more valuable to people, even though you can't fall back on, like,
right.
Yeah. So blah-da-dee-blah, but yeah, there's lots of stuff that people who maybe just know me from being on Whitesnake wouldn't know. Like, after the Love Janis thing, my next gig was with the Turtles, and I actually started out playing on bass, and like,
really?
Playing Happy Together, and
wow,
and that was a great thing as well, because it taught me to like do fly dates and how to be professional on those and become the good bandmate, and which essentially just comes down to be quiet.
Right.
When you're traveling.
Don't be a douche.
Don't talk when you're traveling. It's annoying after a long day. But touring with those guys was a great experience for me, and I did switch over to guitar after a bit with them, but that was the way I was paying the bills. I needed a gig. When Love Janis closed and I lived in New York, I went, wow, well, okay, this place is mega expensive to live, and my weekly income is zero. So, and no complaints, dude. I mean, all that stuff made me a better musician for sure.
Well, it's funny because I had Billy Vera on the show. God, I think he was my first in-studio guest, was Billy Vera, and he was like in the 60s. He was the backup band guy for everybody that came through, and he's like, dude, what I learned doing that, you can't teach.
Yeah, I think the real world experience thing is really valuable, and you never used to have to say that until nowadays, where there's a lot of guitar players who are just like trying to create like 30 seconds of amazingness for YouTube or their Instagram account or whatever,
Right.
social media. So, I mean, that's great. I don't discourage practice of any kind to become a better musician, but I do think that the real world thing. I've very much taken that route, by just playing a million gigs. And people notice it a lot now that I have gotten higher profile gigs, but I've always been gigging. Like this is nothing new. Like since that Love Janis thing, I mean, that was 8 shows a week. And when that closed, I was doing the Turtles, but I also traveled with Love Janis. And then the director had another show that was a blues show that I traveled with. And it was always 8 shows a week. And I'd go fly out of whatever city I was in to go play with the Turtles. But I've constantly been gigging like that this entire time. There's never been a time of like, oh, I don't have anything. It's only gotten to the point now where I have, Whitesnake and Trans-Siberian Orchestra and Cher.
Fuck, I always forget about the TSL thing too.
That has kind of turned it into like, oh, well, dude, you're doing all the gigs. It's like, well, I've always kind of taken that route more than the let me practice scale 6 hours a day. A lot of that is honestly from being young. I did a lot of that when I was young because you had to. When I was 15, it was, the Yngwie thing happened, or maybe 14, and Van Halen was already out. So all of a sudden, that was kind of where the bar was. If you were any good on guitar, you had to be able to play that kind of stuff, and or at least some semblance of, So that pushed me to get my chops together at a young age, and all that stuff kind of came full circle for me when the 80s resurgence, quote unquote, happened. I say the 80s resurgence should have been the quote unquote, because that's what I would term what I was a part of with joining Night Ranger. And suddenly all that stuff became cool again. And I went, wow, well, this is fantastic, because I practiced the 8-finger solo to You Can Still Rock in America hours every day when I'd get home from school when I was 14. And
so you had already knew how hard the Night Ranger stuff was.
Oh, totally, man. Well, Brad and Jeff were
right.
Probably, I mean, with respect to everybody, they had the most chops of any guys in the 80s guitar duo, I think. The hardest to duplicate. I mean, and it's very signature. I appreciate that you could tell them apart. Brad was, I still consider Brad to be like the heavy metal version of Jeff Beck with the whammy, and he's so great at writing hooks, and but his playing is really lyrical. I mean, Brad's a great guitar player. He's very, very underrated, and Jeff too, because the 8-finger thing was super innovative, and I'm just glad to have worked with both of them to, Jeff just a tiny degree, but Jeff and I are friends. Glad to be friends with both those guys, and to have worked with Brad all that time. It's all, huge stuff for me, man.
Do you consider yourself a hired gun?
I don't even know what that is, dude. It sounds derogatory,
No, it's not. It's not meant to be.
No, I know you don't mean it that way, but it's the term itself can be used that way. Like shredder used to be a derogatory term.
Right.
Like in the 90s when we were talking about you couldn't get a gig, that's what people used to say about a guy that, don't hire him, man. He's a shredder. Don't get him to do it. He's a shredder. That was a negative thing.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, like, all of a sudden that term became a good thing. That dude shreds. That dude's a shredder. And it's like, well, not really. I'm a guitar player.
Right.
But that's, like I said, from being young and going through that phase, that's certainly one element of what I can do on guitar. Although nowadays, where there's the guys exclusively doing that for YouTube, all the bar has been raised with that department of having chops.
Yeah, but it's like personally, I mean, I don't really get too much into the quote unquote shredding stuff. I like players like Angus Young and AC/DC that can do more with, just fucking bends and what they do instead of trying to impress somebody of how fast they're playing. Yeah,
there's definitely a mindset thing at times, and all that stuff is apples and oranges. And,
the
way I look at it is, my mindset is to work hard and do the best I can with every situation I get put into, and that includes making my own music where I'm not a hired gun, but it's that, it's always about doing the best you can with each situation and then kind of riding where life takes you, you know?
Oh, right.
Because there's all these things that happen where you'd be like, well, I never could have planned that. And there's a lot of people who get maybe too specific with their goals instead of kind of listening to all the signals that life is giving them in terms of where they belong and what they should be doing. You just kind of do the best you can with it all, dude. And then that's where your style comes from.
Yeah.
And a big part of style is honestly limitations too, because the more you can do, kind of the less recognizable you are in a way, right?
Yeah, that's true.
If you have, it'd be like having 10 songs that sound completely different than each other on an album, and then you say, well, what does that band sound like? You know, it's harder to identify, right? When nowadays, you know, that's become the norm to have 10 songs that sound the same on your album, which is sort of a pet peeve of mine, but I don't want to get negative, man. It's all good, dude. I'm blessed to have gotten as far as I am just making a living because there are great players. And I think that at the end of the day, that stuff comes down to working hard, man, and doing like what I talked about, just trying to make the most of each situation. Yeah.
And I mean, back to the shredding thing again, but
I hate shredders by Izzy Presley.
No. But it's like the guys that I gravitate towards in that genre, it's Eddie and Randy because, well, and George too, but it's like,
lots of melody from
melody, and
it
fit when they did it. You know,
Angus is more, I'd say, you know, like a classic rock, but very blues based and very pocket based. All his solos were very pocket and rhythmic more than melodic, so to speak. Although you can sing most of Angus's solos, but Eddie, you know, you take a solo like "Running with the Devil," it was just a melody. You know, he wasn't shredding, but it came across at the time, like because of his tone and the aggressive nature of it and things like that, that it was like, well, he's shredding, but he wasn't really, whittly-weeing it up like by nowadays standards.
Oh my God, we got some listener feedback. Casey says, Joel, next time I see you, expect to do the Humpty Dance sign in the audience. Scott says, or doing it on
what
karaoke.
What have I done?
See what you started?
What have I done?
See what you started?
Yeah.
Scott also says, love you and Whitesnake. Thanks again for signing my Purple Tour on the cruise.
Thanks, Scott.
And he wants to know, how do you keep it all arranged with Whitesnake, Cher, TSO, and your awesome solo stuff? You seem to always be doing something.
Very carefully. You pray the schedules line up.
No overlapping. Please don't overlap.
No, I know, man. There was, for instance, this year, Whitesnake was going to end this run with Foreigner August 2, and Cher has a run in National Harbor starting August 4. And I went, oh, that's just great. Like, I'm going to fly home, and I'm going to go the next day and do the Cher run. And then Whitesnake added a few headlining shows. Not that I'm complaining, but all of a sudden the Cher run went away, and you have to sub out. And it's all this stuff is probably short-lived for me, honestly. I mean, there's no way you can forever kind of float all of it, but you just keep riding the wave as long as you can and say yes until you need to say no.
Bruce says, Joel, 2 MORCs back. We were waiting in customs line, and I thanked you for the YouTube guitar teachings. And your response was cool and humble, saying that you're still learning and getting better. It's cool to hear a guy at your level that is still learning. Thanks for that.
Oh, thanks, dude. I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, by no means do I, think I'm at some point of arrival. It still comes down to I'm getting better all the time through constantly practicing sets of music and doing gigs. Mm-hmm. I'd like to at some point kind of take a year or two and have it be just kind of back to whatever and just have that freedom like of when you were a kid, like when I went to GIT. And that was like just practicing 5 to 8 hours a day every day of just kind of whatever you wanted. Mm-hmm. But nowadays, I mean, I can't complain. It's an interesting thing, the youth thing. The whole world was in front of me. My life was in front of me at that point of being 19. And even though things have worked out for me, there's like a part of me that still wishes I could go back to being 19 and broke and not knowing if anything's going to work out. It's
try doing that at 45. It sucks.
I was kidding about the 29, by the way.
I know.
All of a sudden, I thought maybe you were like, oh, jeez, I insulted him. No, dude.
No, not at all.
I'm 117, actually, which I'm doing
You wear
well
it well.
Yeah.
You wear it well.
Thank you, man.
Oh, God. Hey, while we're just yapping here, make sure you guys check out Beater Amplification. That's Beeter. These guys are fucking unbelievable. Hand-wired,
Does sound great,
hand-built.
man.
Oh, thank you.
Does
Thank you,
sound great.
Beater. Thank you, Ross. See, there you go, Ross, over at Beater Amplification. Joel says it sounds good. It sounds fucking good. Hand-wired, hand-built, 100 watts of pure testicular fortitude. Pull 2 tubes and you got yourself a 50, 3 channels. And right now, Beater is having a sale. The blackened MK3 head is $700 off, so they're only $19.99 right now. $1,999. Hit up Beater Amplification. That's 2 E's, 2 E's, 2 E's, BEETER.
Izzy, you've got advertisers on your podcast?
Yeah.
Dude, you're a professional and up the wazoo, man.
Hey, man.
Wow. Amazing.
Don't you know who I think I wish I was?
I can't wait to hear what the next one is.
Oh, that's easy. That's A&P Productions Laser Engraving Division.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's Father's Day is coming up. Hit up aplasers.com. Get something. Get your dad a flask, or if your dad doesn't drink, get a nice coffee mug. Or if he's got a sidearm, you can, they can engrave sidearms too. Anything you want. aplasers.com. They do all of my engraved merchandise.
An Izzy Presley brass codpiece, perhaps?
Yes, absolutely.
Personalized.
Absolutely. There's a nice engraving of me in the mankini on the cod piece itself. Yeah. So check those guys out. Amazing shit. I still have one of the roadie packs left, which is a flask, a Zippo, dog tag, and a clicky flashlight LED gimmick, all with the Another Effing Podcast logo on. If you want to send me money for that, it is $29.99 plus $5 shipping and handling in the continental United States of America. And I'll send that out to you. Just hit me up via the PayPal. It's izzypresley@yahoo.com is your PayPal. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a short little break. We'll be right back with more Joel Hoekstra. It is Another Effin' Podcast.
Retro Arcade brings Minnesota and surrounding areas arcade games from the days gone by. All of those great games from pizza joints and arcades are available in cocktail units and custom machines. Dozens of favorites from your youth in one machine to complete your game room or man cave. Retro Arcade also sells and services your favorite pinball machines. Find them at facebook.com/80arcade. That's facebook.com/80arcade. Retro Arcade. Your youth is just one click away.
RockstarLeatherworks.com is your home for badass rock and roll gear. Featuring 100% handmade leather bands, watches, cuffs, bracelets, and more, Rockstar Leatherworks has something for everybody. Whether you are going to the show or you are in it, you can find something to fit your needs. Choose from a variety of designs or create your own masterpiece. Their bands and watches are second to none. They also ship internationally. Who needs a stage to be a rock star? Check out RockstarLeatherworks.com.
If you need to promote your band or business, or just want to stylize, personalize, or customize your ride, check out vid-decals.com. Want to create and customize your own stickers representing your band, or make your own bumper sticker? Vid Decals can do it. All stickers are printed on quality vinyl and can be placed on any flat surface. Stickers are an affordable way to promote your band or business. Go to vid-decals.com to get started. That's vid-decals.com. vid-decals.com.
Hi, this is Gilbert Gottfried, and you're listening to another effing podcast. Who's coming up with these podcasts? Does anybody care? No, I don't. Go fuck yourself. Yes, Affleck. Choose.
It never gets old. Oh, thank you, Craig Gass. We are back with Joel Hoekstra here on Another Effin' Podcast from Whitesnake, Cher, TSO, formerly a Night Ranger. And apparently he's going to be playing with somebody on Hollywood Boulevard, with a bucket in front of him, too. I mean, when in Rome.
Hey, man, don't rule it out. Why knock it?
Exactly. Dave says, remind everyone why Joel is the most badass artist on MORC. He jumped out of a helicopter and swam to shore. There was a number of ladies in waiting after that. Yes. How did that little stunt come about? And will you ever try to top it?
That was telling Larry, yeah, absolutely. I mean, Larry's nice enough to have me on the cruise every year. And so, thank you, Larry, if by chance you're listening. Totally appreciate it. But Night Ranger had a couple shows, I think the first 2 days of the cruise. So I think where most people would have said, sorry, Larry, I can't do it. I said, well, Larry, where can I meet up? And he said, no, that's impossible. There's like a resort island. There'd be no way to get there. And I said, well, wait a second. Let me think about this. And I could get there by boat because there wasn't an airport on the resort island that it would be docked at that day. But he said, well, I guess helicopter. And so I figured out a way to fly to Nassau from our gig, thankfully, which is in Florida. So I flew to Nassau and then took a beautiful helicopter ride, like over the Caribbean. Which one? What do we go with? Caribbean.
Let's go with Caribbean.
It was
more
It
sophisticated.
was amazing, actually. Took an amazing helicopter ride to the resort island and basically took a little, like 1 foot jump out of the helicopter into the water, which felt amazing after getting up at the crack of dawn and flying and then getting in the helicopter. And so jumping into the warm water felt great. And it was a great way to start the cruise. And it's funny, at the time, I don't think anybody knew what the hell was happening. There was like no applause and there was no one cared. And then somehow, as the years have gone by, this has become this, you would think like 10,000 people were cheering when I jumped or something. And, but hey, man, glad that there's a little part of a, I don't know, legend there, I guess, with that or whatever, something silly.
I would rather be known for that than known for a fucking mankini.
Yeah, me too.
Lana is checking it. I'm assuming from Australia. I love Australian gals. I really do. My first boner, Olivia Newton-John.
Olivia Newton-John, huh?
But then I saw fucking Xanadu, and it was like, oh my God, she's even hotter.
I don't remember who the Bionic Woman was when we were kids. Do you remember who played the Bionic Woman?
No, but
that was kind of my first, like, wow, I dig her. And then my mom took me to see Dorothy Hamill skate in the Ice Capades, and I distinctly remember taking the program into my room and kissing Dorothy Hamill as a really young kid. I mean, I don't even know how old I was, and I was trying to make out with her. And she was just like a picture.
Hey, I used to do that with the Olivia Newton-John grease sticker that was on my door. But it was the black leather and the hair all fucking did up and all that one, yeah. So Lana wanted to know, was Rock of Ages your first Broadway gig? Finally figures this out. Laugh out loud. I saw the show twice on holidays from Australia, and last year at Cher and the Alice Cooper Band secret show at SLS.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the Alice Cooper Band did a show in Vegas. They have those impromptu shows that they do that are very much kind of like the sound. Which one do you host?
Soundcheck Live.
Soundcheck Live. Yeah. Okay, I didn't want to say the wrong.
Hey, no offense. All right.
Yeah, well, I didn't want to say the wrong one.
Oh, that's okay.
I got pressure with all your advertising team on me here. But where the hell were we here with that? Oh, was Rock of Ages my first Broadway gig? Well, kind of, because the Love Janis thing was my first theater gig, and that ran 2 years, and then traveled with it, and probably played about 1,400 performances of that, and then traveled with It Ain't Nothing But the Blues, which I did a couple hundred of, or a few hundred, and then I subbed on Pit Stuff for a buddy of mine who lived on the block, and I subbed on Tarzan in the Pit, as well as The Boy from Oz with Hugh Jackman and La Cage aux Folles. And so the Tarzan one was the one that Phil Collins wrote the music for, blah-de-de-blah, but the keyboard player on that show became the music supervisor for Rock of Ages. So that's kind of how that whole thing came about, and then it ran for over 6 years, and was again one of those things that totally unforeseen. If I was young, when I was young, there was no way I was sitting there going, someday I'm going to get a Broadway show about 80s rock. But ended up being a real godsend. For sure,
absolutely,
totally changed my financial reality, dude. Because I could take off whenever I wanted to tour. So it wasn't like because I took this Broadway show, I had to quit Night Ranger at the time or Trans-Siberian Orchestra, so I could take off whenever I wanted. Essentially, I had a gig every day for a little over 6 years, and so that kind of took me from more or less struggling musician to dude who was doing pretty well.
Oh, I thought
you're stunned by that?
I thought you were going to. Yes, Capitol scored, tied the fucking game, 10 minutes and 8 seconds left in the third. So there you go, Lana. There is.
Everyone in Vegas just got pissed at you, bro.
That's okay, because they haven't felt heartbreak. They haven't felt their heart ripped out of their ass like Minnesota fans have. So there you go. Shannon. Oh, hi, poopy Shannon. You know Shannon from the cruises.
Of course.
Oh, yes. You still do that with the Olivia poster on the back of your door, ... Yes, Shannon, it is true. I still throw loads at Olivia Newton-John pictures that are stuck to my door. And it's not because it's a sticker. It's, yeah.
It's been a while since I made out with Dorothy Hamill, but I'll have to.
You're going to relive that, aren't you?
Don't put it. Why turn your nose up at that? Huh?
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, well, I'm old. I don't want to watch Star Wars anymore. No, I still want to watch Star Wars.
A man gets lonely on the road.
Yes,
that's all I'm going to say.
Yes, he does. Are you surprised the way that the TSO thing took off, and still keeps rolling?
Took off long before I was a part of it.
Well, yeah,
it became really, really huge, and it is gigantic. I think that this last year's tour sold over 1 million tickets and grossed over $60 million, I think. So in really just 7 weeks of touring, pretty amazing. I used to say with Paul O'Neill all the time, it was like as the years go by, this thing gets more and more special because you go back 15 years when the music industry was healthier. Mm-hmm. Well, then you maybe would have gone, well, that's just a Christmas show, right? Or whatever. It's just a holiday show.
Yeah.
But nowadays, I look at it like I'm playing rock music in front of 10,000 to 15,000 people a show and 8 shows a week and, touring with my friends. And it's great. So it's a great opportunity. It's awesome to be a part of.
Yeah. I've never seen it personally, but I've seen videos and it's like, Jesus Christ.
Production's amazing.
Yeah.
It's really... I recommend it to anybody. I think it's a great show.
You just recommended it to me, so there. Let's.
There you go. You're gonna applaud me.
I'm gonna applaud that. Yeah. Oh, Lana's back. I'm slightly disturbed now, just slightly. We're not doing our jobs. Diane says 2012 inaugural MORC is when I met both you with Night Ranger and Brandon Gibbs. Was on the Cheap Thrill. The early beginnings of dynamic duo. Hope you get back to Denver again. Looking forward to Whitesnake in July. Don't know how you do it all, Joel. All right, Diane. Thank you. Lindsay Wagner, the Bionic Woman.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
Thank
Lindsay
you, Scott.
Wagner. Thank
you, Scott. So Whitesnake, you guys are. Is there a new record coming out next year? Is that
yes, indeed. Yeah,
early
2019.
Okay.
So, yeah, there's been setbacks along the way, but early 2019.
How does the writing go with that? Is it basically Dave just brings you guys stuff, or is it more of a group effort? Or?
Well, David right now, if you were here, would say, Dave, excuse me. He would not be a fan of being called Dave.
I apologize.
Apologize to David.
I apologize,
please.
David.
Okay.
My heartfelt apologies.
No, he for the most part, he'll have an idea. And with Whitesnake, David writes all the lyrics and all the melodies. So you're not going to write like a chorus to a song. You'd be like, I got this song. The chorus goes like this, David. What do you think? You can give him riff ideas or chord progression ideas. And sometimes that happened with me with like, where would you go? I have this idea. Where would you take it? And I can give him a couple suggestions and things happen real quick with him. And then other songs where actually I wrote all of the riffs or all of the chord progressions. So I think out of we have too much material. There's like 18 songs that we put together. So depending what ones he puts on there, I have like 8 or 9 co-writes, I think. So
nice.
Can be anywhere from like I made up one of the chord progression sections or riffs to I did all of the chord progressions and riffs on some songs. So yeah.
When you're writing for stuff like that, are you in the Whitesnake state of mind, thinking about the older stuff, like this is the sound, this is how it's supposed to sound, or are you just putting your own little flair in there too?
I think a bit. I mean, there's a little bit of that, but a whole lot of like just being a musician.
Right.
And just kind of, I mean, honestly, like I'm not going to spend all my time trying to rip off John Sykes and try and recreate the 87 album. It's kind of pointless, isn't it? The 87 album exists, and why make a lamer version of that? So, but there has to be some element of that sound because it is the signature sound. So there is some energy devoted to that kind of like, let's make it fit in with what the fan base enjoys. You don't want to make a record of like smooth jazz with Whitesnake. But, you know, honestly, a lot of that takes care of itself just with David, because David's tastes are Whitesnake. That's what he likes. And most of the songs basically begin and end with him. So it's going to sound like Whitesnake. The stuff sounds like Whitesnake. It's just, you know, like I said, guitar style wise, I don't know if it would necessarily behoove me to try and be somebody I'm not and try and be John Sykes light or something, you know.
Yeah.
I just try and do the best I can with, like I said, all these musical situations, man.
How did the Cher thing come about?
That when we knew that we weren't going to tour with Whitesnake in 2017, I basically just put out texts and emails to like as many people that I could think of that are people that maybe have a line on some work essentially. And one of the guys I texted was Justin D'Erico, who plays with Pink and plays on The Voice, amazing guitar player, friend of mine. And so happens that the other guitar player on The Voice, Dave Barry, does the Cher gig, and he needed to miss a run, and that's where it kind of started. And as time went by, Dave got more and more busy with The Voice, and it's kind of turned into essentially a full-time thing for me to a degree too, of just kind of being the guy on that gig for now, amazingly enough. So out of nowhere, again, that's sort of like the Rock of Ages thing, where like never was I 14 years old playing Black Sabbath songs going, someday I'll play with Cher. But, you know, I'm having a ball. I mean, I like the musicians are all great players. All the guys do huge gigs. You know, Jason Sutter's on drums. He's played with Marilyn Manson and Chris Cornell and everybody. I mean, he does like every gig. He's an amazing drummer. And you know, Ashley, the bass player, plays a filter, and
Ashley, she just
Zarachin. I hope I'm saying that correctly.
Yeah. She's now, well, she has a different last name now. Great, no, not Grace.
Yeah, Ashley Reeve.
Reeve, thank you, because she's married to Chris Reeve, and they both play Soundcheck Live all the time.
Just got married, and the keyboard player Daryl plays with Stevie Nicks, and the music director has MD'd everybody, like you name it, mainly pop stars, but you know, Tina Turner and Christina Aguilera, and just a huge resume. So to get to play with all those guys is great for me. They're awesome musicians and kind of network for maybe future work, and
for sure,
just enjoying it, man.
Was it when you were learning the music? I mean, this is obviously a different style than you're used to.
Well, like I said, I went through that whole period of doing everything. I mean, I've been in acid jazz bands. I've played, weddings, and I've done everything, you know. So I think that it's kind of fun because for a little change of pace, it's not hard rock and shred.
Right.
So I get an opportunity to kind of showcase the fact I know how to play waka chaka funk stuff and 60s folk and pop stuff and acoustic stuff, and do it all well with time and tone. And it's a lot more of like a play your parts really solid kind of gig than anything else. And then I have a couple of moments where I step out with her, and one where I step out on my own while she's doing a wardrobe change, that you kind of get to use a little bit of the showman thing, and and it's really, I'm not going to lie, it's a lot of fun to step out with her, and we're the only ones out front. The band is in the back, and I kind of get to work the stage with her, either kind of mirroring, going to the opposite sides, or sometimes she'll engage with me. She does something different every show, and it can be a little daunting because you don't want to become known as the guy that knocked over Cher, like... Cher breaks leg on Vegas residency due to clumsy guitar player thinking that he was going to lean on her. Well, you got to be careful.
Oh, I suppose, yeah.
But she does cool stuff. Sometimes she's sung to me before. Sometimes she's hugged me. She's put her arm around me or leaned on me, and all that stuff is really kind of cool and kind of neat because she is, whatever people's opinions are of her, she's definitely a legendary pop icon in my opinion. I mean, she had number one hits in 5 different decades, which is something I didn't know about her going in. And obviously has been a movie star and everything as well.
Right.
So, I mean, that's It's pretty cool.
What were your expectations going in? I mean, with like her personally, and how different was it than what you experienced?
I had none. I just wanted to sound good for the band. I sort of figured it's more about what the music director thinks of you than anything else, which is totally true. Has very little to do. I mean, I think that Cher dug the fact that I had the long hair and had the rocker look and did a lot of that stuff, and I think that didn't hurt, but my main thing is kind of impressing the band. So maybe we work together on other stuff.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
I mean, that's just the reality of being a working musician.
There you go. Scotty also wants to know, was it intimidating coming into Whitesnake with the Purple album? First you have David, but then it's also doing Deep Purple tunes.
Yeah, I guess so. It's the same as all the other things, It's like, well, this is what it's going to be, and you get the gig, and it's like, all right, well, let me just do the best I can with it. So I definitely transcribed like everything that Richie Blackmore and Tommy Bolin played on those recordings and knew all that in case David wanted to say, you know what, why don't you just play their solo? But that never happened. I mean, he wanted a drastically different take on it and for it to be our own thing. So it was a lot more creative than people would realize for me. Like Reb had kind of copped the main one guitar riff already. So it was like, all right, do I double that? Do I make a different guitar part? Because we didn't lean as heavily on the keys, as obviously the John Lord thing was kind of, David really did that album a lot as a tribute to John Lord. So I think that it was more putting the Whitesnake sound on it too. It was like, let's not make it sound just like Deep Purple where the keyboards are a huge role. Let's make it sound like Whitesnake with a 2 guitar thing. So there was definitely a lot more creative work than people would realize, and that's kind of what occupied my time more than being like intimidated. And then you figure there's nothing you can do anyway for people that are going to say, well, how dare you? It's like, right. Well, in fact, how dare I? I don't know. It was a gig.
Yeah, exactly.
It's what I was paid to do, and I did it.
Yeah, exactly. We talk about people you've played with, Brad Gillis and Night Ranger, but now you're playing with fucking Reb Beach, who's another amazing guitar player.
Indeed, yeah. I've been lucky to share the stage with a lot of great players, man, over the years, and musicians that I grew up admiring. So, these guys are no different, man. Not just Reb, but, having Tommy Aldridge in the band.
Yeah.
Is like, geez, Tommy's, played with Randy Rhoads and played with Gary Moore and then David. It's like people fixate a lot on who the Whitesnake guitar players have been. Like, okay, one thing to say Sykes and Vi and Doug Aldrich and all these great players that have been through the band, but it's another thing to go, wait a minute, Jimmy Page and Richie Blackmore,
Yeah.
I mean, geez.
Yeah.
It's like, so yeah, you can almost just kind of screw yourself by getting too hung up on that. You got to just, hey, David still has me. I must be doing something right.
Right, exactly.
And try and make the best music you can.
Do you learn from these guys that you play with?
Yeah, definitely. I learn from people I play with. I do. And it's not always just like, hey, show me that lick.
Right.
But just their take on how they approach things. And then you end up sort of inherently becoming influenced by them, due to the way the process is with just making music.
Bruce wants to know, Joel, can you talk about getting to play with Gus G, Tony McAlpine, Neil Zaza, and Richie Kotzen on the upcoming MORC? And do you think you will do something together?
Those guys are all great players. I would imagine everybody does their own set. If anybody invites me to sit in, I'll sit in. But, who knows?
Who knows?
Maybe Larry will have some kind of plan for that, and I'll of course be up for it. I mean, why not? Those guys are all killer players, and I'd be honored to be on any kind of playing scenario with them.
Hey, well, shit! You even came up and played with us at our Cruiser Jam, and fuck it, you made a lot of people's fucking cruise, just by doing that. It was cool, man. So thank you.
Oh,
I know I've thanked you many times for that, but still,
my pleasure, man.
It meant a lot. Lauren says, "Thank you, Joel, for changing my life for the better. I started playing guitar because of you."
That's awesome. Well, that's a great compliment to get, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Lauren.
So I have to thank Michael J. Fox if I ever see him.
Why is that?
Back to the Future.
Because, okay.
The Johnny B. Good scene.
Yeah.
It was Ace Frehley and that scene that made me want to play guitar.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Hey, while we're looking at these other comments that are coming in, you should go check out John Palumbo Design. John Palumbo design stuff. Not just
that was John Palumbo design stuff. Don't put that on a billboard. I'm just saying.
I
might
would
want to do better than
John
that.
Palumbo, he designs stuff. No, you need website work done. You need new graphics for your band, your business, whatever. Check out John Palumbo Design. I believe it's johnpalumbodesign.com. You can at least find him on Facebook. Hit up John Palumbo. He's one of my favorite people in the world, and he does amazing, amazing work. So hit up John Palumbo and John Palumbo Design. Anything you need to pimp before we make like a tree and get out of here?
No, man, the Whitesnake Tour. I mean, that's about it. I hope to see everybody out, and after that, we finish up with a few headlining shows that I mentioned. Then a couple shows of Cher in Atlantic City, August 17 and 18, those that are out that way. And then there's a few 3-4 shows of Brandon Gibbs that I'm going to be doing. Everybody can check my page, do the acoustic shows with him. And then I'm doing 5 weeks in Australia with Cher. And when I get back from that, it should be, God willing, assuming all goes according to plan, be doing the Trans-Siberian Orchestra tour. So, big arena tour again, of course, with that. And so it's a real super busy rest of the year for me.
That's awesome, man. Dude, thank you again for coming by and doing this. I know you got shit going on while you're in town here, rehearsals and all that stuff. But
dude, my pleasure. It's great to see you, man. I'm glad we got a chance to hang.
Likewise. All right, people. I do love you all. Make sure you do check out all of the social media, which is... Oh, where can they find you on social media?
All right. Everybody ready to spell my name? The worst name in rock. Joel, Joel, Hoekstra, HOEKSTRA.com. JoelHoekstra.com, and you can link over to all my social media stuff from there, or check the live shows I was just mentioning. I'll try and get everything up very soon. And I know the whole Whitesnake Tour is on there, so everybody can check that out and see if there's a corresponding date. But come on out, man. What a great bill, right? Jason Bonham, Whitesnake Foreigner. Come on.
And don't try to name drop me. That's not going to get you anywhere. But thank you guys for listening. We'll be back next week. I think maybe Kate Quigley. I'm not sure. And hear me fumble over my words in front of a very, very beautiful woman. If it's not next week, she'll be on soon. I got shit I'm working on. I do love you guys all. Make sure you do hit up all the social media. Real Izzy Presley on Facebook. Oh, I'm sorry, Twitter and Instagram. Izzy Presley 1 on Facebook. And another effing podcast on Facebook. And don't forget, what I lack in talent, I make up for in cock. See you guys next week. I do love you all. And would you kindly, please go fuck yourselves.
Good one, man.
Thank you.